Let's see if we can't end this week off strong here. Looks like my picture's freezing there. Let's see here. Get rid of that little lag right there. But anyway, let me get over here on X and people join us. Get over on X. Make sure everyone can hear us over there. Let's see here. Make sure. Anyway, let me get over here on X. Yeah, it looks like people can hear me. Let's try the chat on my Restream, the software I use to stream to multiple platforms. It didn't work yesterday. Looks like they fixed it. So you can chat stuff if you're on X and then obviously on YouTube as well. So we're here on a Friday. And I'd say kind of a little bit of a down day. Market's been open now for about 7 minutes. Couple minutes slow jumping at you here this morning, but Bitcoin sitting at 62,695, so down 1.7%. So not ideal. Let's look over at the traditional markets, see how they're doing it. Like I say, sideways, slowly down day. A little worried about the weekend since we're down below the 200-week moving average now. Don't really want to close below here. Welcome if you're just joining me. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Yeah, it just feels like kind of a sideways day. We had some good news. We had some okay news with the CPI. We had some good news with the PPI. Didn't really translate over into crypto. We're down the back and forth on the Gulf War stuff. Oil 81.09 up 0.2%. There is some news back and forth, but like I say, I just look at the oil price and kind of judge what's true and what's not true. Really flat day in TradFi. NASDAQ positive 0.06. Dow negative 0.04. S&P positive 0.03. It's about as flat as you get there. Hey, Welder, how you doing? He said GMAA Ron. Hope you have a kick-ass Friday. You too, my friend. I know you're up in North Dakota, working up there. We had a little bit of rain. I got caught in some rain on my hike last night. Got drenched. Sat under a pine tree for a while, but time we got down, we're dripping wet. Looking sunny today, which is great because we've been having these 105 degree days, which we're not used to here in Africa. Our elevation, or Africa, Utah, our elevation's so high, we don't usually get that. But yeah, Aaron and our friend D Nice. Yeah, it's a great skit. One of my favorites ever. If you've never seen that. Pele, is it Peele, Peele? Substitute teacher, man. Love that. Anyway, GM to you. Hey, Scott. Thank Heine. It's Friday. Yep, from the Heine community. Great space you had over there, Scott. Scott will be joining me on my show, the GM Bitcoin Morning Show, today at the top of the hour. Got a lot of stuff we'll be talking about. Oh, yeah, I got a few mosquitoes up there. Yeah, it's good to have rain. Seems to me like it's been a really dry year. I assume you guys get similar weather as well. But I mean, other than it gets a hell of a lot colder up there, even though I don't know if your elevation's higher than us or not, but man, it's freaking north and it is cold. I think I told you that story. I got stuck in Minot, North Dakota. They offered me $2,000 for my seat 3 days later to wait for the next flight, but I didn't even consider it. It was bad. They got these little airplanes. The wind was blowing so bad they couldn't de-ice the planes. It was knocking over the de-icing trucks because they're kind of high. They got a ladder and a fire hose. It was crazy. You wonder why the hell would anyone live there in the winter. But anyway, yeah, so look, flat day. The NASDAQ's literally flat right now. I did notice, I thought STRC was doing good, 94.91, holding pretty good. I think Michael Saylor's strategy is working, no pun intended, to kind of just buy time. We'll see what he does this weekend. I already heard maybe he's been doing some OTC selling. which isn't good when we're trying teetering on this 200-week moving average, which is a very big indicator between a bear market and a bull market. So let's look over at, oh yeah, Gain saying drought conditions again. Yeah, man, California, I remember when they were in like a 25-year drought. Finally had a few years recently where it's not been, but I swear it was like a 15, 20-year drought. I've been a member on the Tejon Ranch down there, just right by Bakersfield there for like 25 years. I haven't been out there in like 6 months, but yeah, we were finally seeing a little green. Tejon Ranch, I think it's about 280,000 acre private ranch, cattle ranch. They've got elk on there. In fact, Joe Rogan's been out there a couple times. My buddy's hunting elk with his bow, and they got wild pigs and turkeys and bears and elk and deer. It's pretty cool, fun place to go and kind of get out in nature when you're in California. It's only about an hour and a half from LA, maybe not even that far, a little over an hour north of LA. But anyway, yeah, it's been dry lately. We've been having some green grass out there. Anyway, Bitcoin down day, 62,666, literally down 1.7%, down about $1,000 below the 200-week moving average. So I'm hoping we don't get below there. Hey, Coachmaster, GM also out there in SoCal. By the way, Gain and Welder, thanks to you guys for running all the TBB spaces. Man, we're getting lots of spaces. The community's really coming together on the TBB side, all kinds of spaces. The other day we had 3 or 4 running. I've seen Arabic spaces. We had Chinese spaces, all kinds of stuff. So that's the way you build out here. But anyway, yeah, Bitcoin down. I'm hoping, I don't know, it's really hard on a weekend. We're really susceptible to manipulation, and there's a lot of longs and shorts piling up. So we may see some rocky up and down liquidation events this weekend, but I don't want to close below that 52-week moving average on the weekly Sunday night, but we'll see what happens. Ethereum, 1869. It's down 1.2%. XRP, man, talk about barely hanging on to $1. Look at that, $1.003. Crazy, right? Crazy. But they're down 0.5% as well. And then Solana is 75.35, down 1.2. So, yeah, I don't know. I hope we can be around these levels or better come Monday, but it's hard to say. I don't know. I'm just feeling like there's going to be some, looking at the heat maps and stuff, I just feel like there's going to be some liquidation events, maybe up and down over the weekend, some manipulation when there's no volume out there. So be careful. Be careful. We've got our Cash Cat over on Robinhood. If it wants to pull up here, there we are. Cash Cat 131.3, down a little over 10%. You know, we had that big spike when they got listed. I was using it as an example of Robinhood memes on the Robinhood chain, but then they listed it on their actual app, which has, you know, hundreds of millions of users. So it's a little different now. But anyway, it's been holding up high because it was around, we see down here, kind of had the, you know, spiked initially, kind of bled down, was kind of level down there around 44. And then we had the huge news, started going up, and then the huge news of the actual Robinhood app listing. Ansem, which is the kind of the guy who started the supply control Meta, which the TBB is now using, 190 million, up about 0.5 point today. So it's holding okay. TBB, of course, we had a big announcement. CoinZoom's going to list them today. I think Jason's going to do a little thing about that later on today, a space. But yeah, 14.5 million on the announcement. It pumped a little from about 13 up to about, looks like about 16. But let's anyway, that's going to get listed, I believe, today. Jason will have a space talking more about it and what his plans are and whatnot. But and then our guy Sikasa just launched a week ago today the Bela 539 million. Look at this. It's been going up and down. Look at this pattern. 500, 556, down to a little over 500, up to 559, down, and yesterday we even had these bigger ones. This is only the 50-minute chart. We even had these big ones from 500 bounce all the way to 615. This one here bounced up to like 640. So yeah, interesting chart. But getting some violent $100,000 swings, and that's now a little less. But 2 violent swings yesterday. Guess you could have swung trade those if you were doing it. Anyway, good stuff happening there. Yeah, I got my grid bots going. Grid bots making me a little bit of money as we get this volatility. Well, let's take a look at some of the news. This is the chart here. Robinhood is showing they had a day of over 5 million users. You look at that chart since it's been going for a month or so. But yeah, there's a big spike all of a sudden, 2 million, then 5 million. I don't know what's with that, but that's a massive spike. I don't know if these are days. Yeah, I think these are just days. So that's a huge jump. We'll see if that continues. Vlad, the founder, actually said he was surprised. This is from our guy Hoff, reposted this. Gap between homeowners and sellers widened in July as the number of sellers fell to a record low, according to Redfin, a big real estate site. So keep in mind, there's still some problems out there. We got central banks printing money, inflation. We got, housing market problems. Today we had some retail data look bad. I mean, people losing their jobs. Yeah, save some for a rainy day, and I think there's reason to be stacking a little bit of Bitcoin, because it's kind of, even though it's treated as a risk asset right now, long term, that won't be the case always. It's more of a hedge against debasement of your currency is really the better definition. Look at this. I don't know. I haven't got any, I've not got any alpha on this, but I just saw that introducing call out rewards, call out tokens, and get paid daily based on the volume your call out drives to a token. Available to all users exclusively on the Pump.Fun app. Start earning now. Sounds to me like if you tweet about the Bitcoin bull, one of the Solana coins, and it creates a lot of buying, that you'll get rewarded maybe in pump tokens or something. So I don't know. Interesting. Something to keep an eye on. Kind of, we know we have FOMO and some of these social apps, social trading things. So that's interesting. Could get you bull posting, kind of like what Jason's doing when he rewards the bag workers. So anyway, interesting, especially since a lot of these coins that we have, the Heine coin. I don't know if the Heine coin was a Pump.Fun coin, to be honest with you. I don't think it was, but I know a lot are, both the TBB and the Bela and quite a few others that we support are there. So that's interesting. Want to learn more about that. China pumped, I don't know what this is in US dollars, 967 billion yuan in liquidity this week. So the point is, hey, Mr. Heine, thank Heine. It's Friday. THIF, absolutely. But look, the central banks are not going to quit printing money. They're not. Even America very soon is going to be back to printing money. Injecting liquidity, even if it's a creative ways. This eventually makes its way back to the risk assets. So just keep that in mind. More reason to buy Bitcoin. Holding some Bitcoin for the long haul. World Liberty Fi delays plans to sell a digital token tied to Trump-branded resort in the Maldives. Token, which would give investors income from loans financing resort, was supposed to launch this spring, pushed back after the war. The Maldives was meant to showcase world leaders' plan to tokenize real-world assets. So this one didn't happen. Oh, yeah, that's what, yeah. Scott was just clarifying that, yeah. I thought the Heine coin was launched directly on Raydium. So, yeah, it's not a pumped.fun coin, but a lot of them out there are, right? So it's interesting what pumped.fun has planned for that. But yeah, so this Maldives resort, Maldives gorgeous, like picturesque, right? Like most picturesque place you've ever seen. I believe in the Indian Ocean. But anyway, it got pushed back, but you would have been able to buy and then receive dividends from, just like they're basically going to finance this resort, a Trump-based resort. And, I know they're doing a tower in either Dubai or Abu Dhabi. They're doing things all over the world, and them and everyone else eventually be able to finance it. Kind of cool to have a little piece of this, even if it's just a few dollars worth. So RWA tokenization is literally going to be virtually everything is going to be tokenized. Then you can trade it smaller. Redot, which is one of the big crypto debit cards out there based out of Hong Kong, they were planning a $4 billion US IPO. So if you don't think CoinZoom's undervalued, look at this. They were going to do a $4 billion IPO. And I believe that very soon CoinZoom will be up there in the, multi-billion dollar deals. But they were going to do a $4 billion IPO, but they're getting sued by Binance for $472 million, alleging they had a contract to work together, and they alleged that Redot stole their customers. So they're suing them for $472 million. There's also a suit going on simultaneously in the Singapore. So they're going after them hard. They, of course, deny any wrongdoing, but Binance says they diverted almost 500,000 customers. So they're suing them a million a customer, I guess, or $1 a customer. Anyway, interesting happening there. Yeah. Heine said, Scott said, Mr. Heine doesn't like pumped.fun. Yeah, I can't blame him. There's there's not a lot of great stuff going on pumped.fun. It's just convenient and predictable, I guess, why people do it, right? But yeah, overall, a lot of people, I think, shy away from that. Legit projects, but especially I don't like their incentive. I don't like their creator rewards, how they do it. They incentivize people launching multiple tokens, pump and dumps, honestly. But anyway, Citigroup CEO Jane Fraser said she wants the Clarity Act to pass. So now you got Citigroup calling on this to happen. Huge, right? It's the banks that have kind of been blocking it. So let's hope that gets done. Tuesday, September 15 will be the vote. Let's hope they get that done, man. We need that. That could really change things. This supposedly a tanker was struck by a drone while exiting the Straits of Hormuz. And also, that they passed some law that said U.S. ships and Israeli ships can't pass through. I don't buy any of it. I just look at the oil price, up about 0.5 point today. I don't even know if these are true. They use AI to make fake fires and bombings, use old footage. It's crazy, the propaganda out there. SpaceX, they completed their $60 billion acquisition of Cursor. I don't even know much about Cursor, but that's a big acquisition. But, now that SpaceX is a multi-trillion-dollar company, they can afford these kind of things. That's when you get the advantage. You now just print stock to buy companies. SpaceX up, I think, $141. Pretty nice bounce off their lows are 110, 111. Norway's sovereign wealth fund's indirect Bitcoin exposure reached a record 11,549 Bitcoin, worth roughly $725 million in the first half of 2027, per K33 Research. Strategy accounts for 86. So Norway's sovereign wealth fund owns almost over just nearly $750 million worth of Bitcoin. Think about that. Definitely you should be buying a little Bitcoin, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a tenth of a Bitcoin, a 20th of a Bitcoin, whatever you can afford. Morgan Stanley said expects AI compute demand to outpace supply for years. Good little insight if you're investing in some of those companies that provide those services or AI companies. Power, copper wire. There's a lot of ways to play this AI, a lot of diversified ways to play this AI breakout. Retail sales, the U.S. fell 0.6 month over month, and it was only supposed to fall 0.1. So once again, there's a lot of underlying weakness in the economy. I think we know that if you're out there on Main Street trying to make a living. Second biggest drop in internet sales since 2021. Even the internet's getting affected. So yeah, just keep this in mind. To me, more reason to buy Bitcoin. Now, UBS, which is the largest bank in Switzerland, with over 6 trillion assets under management, they just increased their Bitcoin to over $90 million. So their Bitcoin year over year went up 230%. So they like tripled down on their Bitcoin holdings. But this is a trend, right? This is why Bitcoin isn't 40,000 right now, even though MicroStrategy is the biggest buyer, isn't buying. These other big institutions are buying. Wells are buying. Smart money's buying. You don't, S&P, some of these others are at all-time highs, literal all-time highs. Bitcoin's still undervalued, in my opinion. Also, Israel's largest bank, I think it's Leumi, just announced they will soon let their customers buy Bitcoin directly in their app. They have over 320 million assets under management. So once again, just easier access. CoinZoom, we've done a lot of interaction with credit unions and banks, looking at maybe partnering with them over the years, right? So we've looked at a lot of reports, a lot of overwhelmingly, like 90% of most people that don't own crypto say they would buy Bitcoin if it was available through their banks. So whereas us, the Degens out here in the trenches, don't trust banks, most people do. The average person out there trusts their banks. So this is going to be huge for adoption, right? So don't have to learn how to download an app, any of that. You just your bank you're already using, you already trust, offers it, boom. People smash buy a little Bitcoin. Hey, Steph, GM or GN for you out in Belgium. Think about 8 hours later than us right now, but glad you could join us. Good to see you. Last but not least on our news, Harvard peer-reviewed paper calls for the inclusion of Bitcoin into central bank reserves. Highest levels of academia are now embracing Bitcoin. Governments globally are paying attention. New era of Bitcoin is beginning. This is true. You got these peer-reviewed financial papers showing, and this is the kind of thing that banks look at. Sovereign wealth funds, central banks, they look at this and say, okay, yeah, we ought to have a little exposure to Bitcoin. So, and it'll start out, might be 1%, might be 5%, but eventually what happens when that grows to 5, 8, 10, 12, 15%, right? That's how Bitcoin gets to millions, multiple millions. Let's take a look back at the markets just for fun. Flat day on the traditional markets so far. Kind of a bleeding, slightly red day on the crypto side, coming into a weekend where the traditional market. Also, it's the end of the summer. I think a lot of people are looking to squeeze every bit of what they can out of their summer, right? So I think that people aren't going to be paying as much attention in August. So be prepared for some possible manipulation and volatility. Maybe not, but it feels like it to me. Yeah, look at that. Oil up 0.44, so that's about the same, up about half a point, 80, 92. NASDAQ, positive 0.04. Dow, 0.02. S&P, that is flat. You don't get any flatter than that. Take one last look. Oh, crap, it's already top of the hour. Got to wrap this up and jump over GM Bitcoin Morning Show. Feel free to join us over there. Scott and other people will talk about this little bit about the CoinZoom TBB thing and about this other news as well. But yeah, 62,634. So down 1.6. So about the same. Hasn't gotten worse. Let's hope we survive the weekend. Everyone have a great Friday. Have a great week.